Welcome back again for another episode of the Tuckcast. I am sitting here with old Jack, Dale, and myself, Bobby.
Hey.
There it is.
What's up?
Shout out to everybody. Happy to have everybody back listening. We got a couple things on tap today. We're going to do the top 10 again. This one's going to be reasons to fish in western North Carolina. So this might be good for some people that have never fished here and have been thinking about it or possibly didn't even know. We've been to a lot of festivals and things where people are like, man, I didn't even know there was trout fishing there. So it's a good way to kind of spread the word of some of the goods of the area. We also have another little segment that we're going to start called Thing in a Box. And we've only got 3 of us here today, not 4. So the idea behind it is that one of us will put something in the box, a thing, and the other 3 will try to guess it. And if 2 of those 3 guess it correctly, this is where you guys win, is if you walk in the shop by the date that we set and mention it to one of the 4 of us, you will get 5% off your purchase for that day. Ooh. So it's kind of cool for y'all. It also means that you're listening to the podcast. So we've got that, so we'll do that with these 2 guys. And I'm only going to say if one of them gets it today since we only have 2. So 50%. If we get 50% right, we'll give y'all 5% off till March 1st.
All right. What am I putting in this box? My hand? Or what?
I hope so.
Oh, okay. I didn't know.
Oh, boy.
Heard it was called Thing in a Box. I don't know.
I hope so.
Oh, boy.
So anyways, let's do that because that sounds fun. Now, when we do this, y'all got to be descriptive what you think it is. Actually, no, you know what? You got to write it down because I don't want Jack to give it to Dale or Dale to give it to Jack. So it's got to be a surprise at the end. But describe what it feels like to you. So y'all need a piece of paper? No?
Yeah.
You need one.
I took Dale.
There's something to write on.
Don't be too graphic, Dale.
Yeah. All right.
Thank you.
Who wants to go first?
I'll go. Why not?
All right. We're going to let Jack go first. All right, Jack. Do not look in the box.
Wish me luck.
All right, I'm going to stand up so he can do this. All right, he's reaching in. It's down there in the bottom. You got to get deep.
Oh, this is too easy. It's fuzzy. It's kind of like a chenille, like I'm gonna say a Mangum's dragon tail.
You're not supposed to tell. You're supposed to write.
Oh, dang it! I messed it up already.
Go ahead and write it down. Write it down. Right, because Dale couldn't hear you. Dale had to answer a phone call, so he's checking with something. So don't let Dale see that. You also got to put the color if you guessed it. I'm joking.
All right. We're all set here.
All right. It's Dale's turn.
No cheating, Dale.
Don't be looking now.
I already broke the rules, though.
What's it feel like?
Feels like a fly tying material.
Come on, walk
Like
us through
how
it.
specific do I need to be here?
Well, now that Jack's guessed, you don't have to write yours down technically.
Let's see.
Does it feel squishy?
Is it just? Were there other things in here, or just?
It's just one thing.
Oh, okay.
Well, there's multiple of that one.
So am I just saying it?
If you'd like to.
Okay, it's definitely the dragon tail fly tying material.
Man, look at that. Y'all got it right.
Yeah.
And I think it's white.
It felt like a white one.
Dale got it right because he guessed the color.
You know, there are some dyes that the way they interact with fibers will feel different.
That is true. That orange mop fly, it's kind of stiff.
I was thinking more like the deer hair, but cool.
Oh, yeah, mop, deer, whatever.
All right, so they got it right. Both of them got it right. So if you guys come in and me, Jack, Shannon, or Dale are in the shop and you mention that you heard about the Dragon Tales on the podcast, we'll give you a discount. This one will air on February. We'll put this one up. Actually, this one will air in the beginning of March. So we'll do it till the 14th of March. We'll do it halfway into March. So if you come in before March 14th and say, I heard about the Dragon Tales on the podcast, we'll give you a discount. So I know some of the local people will probably take advantage of that. Andy.
Oh yeah, they'll be all over that.
Yeah, Steve will probably come by too. So, anyways, let's get into the top 10. Y'all ready?
Drum roll.
All right. So, the top 10 reasons to fish Western North Carolina. Probably fly fish. We'll say fly fish Western North Carolina. So, number 10, family friendly. Why do you think that's a good thing, Jack?
That's a good one. There's just so much to do around here. Fun for all ages, really. I can think of one right now. I'm looking at the train that draws a ton of people here. Young and old, everybody loves it. Who doesn't love to go choo-choo? Woo woo! Can I get a woo woo?
I need to put that sound effect in. So, yeah, I mean, I think that's something, the train, obviously, for the kids. That's the whole family thing. There's spas, your wives, and even the husbands probably enjoy doing something at the spa, getting a good massage, whatever. I don't frequent spas much, so I don't know all the little details they do there. But
Jack, what's your favorite?
I go there for the facial.
the facial, there it is. So there's also rafting, kayaking. Obviously, that's a little bit more age specific. You're probably not going to take a 2-year-old rafting, but if your kids are 8, 9, 10 years old, rafting's probably a great thing for them to go do.
Hey, tubing on Deep Creek.
Yeah.
I've seen some young kids out there.
Yeah. So, I mean, you can kind of plan the vacation.
You see them in the ER afterwards, too, don't you?
Yeah, that's true.
And, mom and dad can get away or something and go fish, or dad can get away and go fish, or mom can get away. Whoever's the fisherman or the whole family.
I was going to say the whole family can walk Deep Creek, see waterfalls.
But if there's people that don't want to fish, there's other things to be done while you're fishing. So
big outdoor playground.
Yeah. I mean, if you like mountain biking, hiking, camping,
Front
all the
porch
water
sitting.
sports. Yeah. I mean, there's a ton of stuff. So that's, pretty big. I think that's important because most people, when they go somewhere, they like to bring their loved ones. So jumping into number 9 is breweries and food. So Western North Carolina's kind of become a hub for beer. So I'll let Dale take this one.
Good water makes good beer.
There it is. Good clean water.
Kind
Is
of go
that the
hand in
secret?
hand. Here in Bryson City, we got two breweries. Got Nantahala Brewing, Mountain Layers. Over in Silva, you got Nantahala Brewing, Innovation,
Black Balsam.
Lazy Hiker.
Or Balsam Falls,
Falls.
not Black Balsam. Balsam Falls.
and Lazy Hiker. Yeah, so you got 4 in that little town. And then, of course, Asheville, I think there's 4 breweries per capita.
Wow.
In Buncombe County. So
it's nuts how many they got over
they've
there,
got a
man.
ton of craft beer over in Nashville, but they've also got traffic, so our beer's already better. So
There you go.
but yeah, no, it's a great atmosphere too. I mean, you see all types in the breweries, and there's usually good food tied to them too.
Yeah, that's the thing. Food, and they're usually family friendly too.
And
the
on trout
environment.
streams, 2 of them are right on
Yeah,
Scotts Creek.
yeah.
Shout out to Innovation and Cosmic Carry out there. Had a burger there last night.
And
Looked down at the
Nantahala.
creek.
Nantahala's on the creek too.
Yeah. So, hey, the breweries are awesome. Food, most of the breweries now have some type of food with them, close to them, whatever, beside them. So, a lot of good restaurants, whether you're staying in Waynesville, Silva, Bryson City, or in the surrounding area. Obviously, Asheville's known for good food, too, so if you're up that way. Because it's important to, when you're not on the water, to have a little bit of fun in the evening. Number 8, the big, what do you call that? The snowman? What do you told your
8,
grandfather
yeah.
the double snowman?
Yeah, 8. It's a snowman in golf. Somebody says, "What'd you shoot there, Bobby?" And you finish in the hole. And Bobby said, "I shot a snowman." I mean,
Snowman.
that's an
I get it.
easy way of saying 8 and trying to make light of you suck.
I've never shot an 8.
Whatever. I saw you at Top Golf.
Yeah.
You shot an 8 before.
You're right.
What you're saying is you never shot as low as an 8.
Oh,
That's kind of how I'm taking
That's
it.
what I meant. Yeah. Yeah. The highest score wins, right?
Yeah. So number 8 is the scenery / wildlife. I mean, you can't beat it, man. Western North Carolina is a pretty place.
Trout don't live in ugly places.
That's what everybody
is true.
says. That's what
I've
everybody-
never said that.
Where is Shannon the Bear Whisperer when we need him?
Yeah. Shannon knows all about the wildlife, man. He's always encountering bears safely.
2018, he saw
8 or
was it
9.
I think
10.
Was it
Yeah,
10?
or
Yeah.
11.
At least, yeah.
Yeah,
They were never dangerous encounters, but he saw them off in the
They
distance.
know Shannon, so they just like wave to him and keep walking.
They probably think he's a bear too or something. They're not afraid of him.
We had a
He's
fella,
one of us.
We had a feller come in the shop the other day. So he saw a bear in downtown Silva, just within the last week.
Yeah,
He was coming
You
out of
never
that.
know.
He was coming out of the old Sonic.
That's right. Comfort in up there. Lock your doors.
so from a scenery
Hide your wife,
standpoint,
hide your kids.
from a scenery standpoint, what's one of your favorite hikes / fishing, Jack? What do you think?
The West Fork of the Pigeon is really pretty. You know, the delayed harvest is cool, but get on up above that, and you're getting pretty close to the Blue Ridge Parkway. There's just so much pretty water up there.
Yeah,
Top
it
of
is.
Caney Fork is really cool.
Yeah. What about you, Dale? You got a favorite kind of hike / fishery?
Or you do both on the hike.
Yeah, well, like you hike in and fish, maybe. You know what I mean? Not necessarily right by town, basically. Like to go see some good
I don't
scenery.
know if I want to tell you.
Make one up.
Graveyard Fields is
That is cool.
That's fun for
that
the
can be
whole family.
busy though during the summer.
It
That's the
can,
one
but
thing.
you go out 2 miles or you just follow the creek. Don't get me on the trail. And there's some spectacular fishing up there. And it can be 90 degrees down the valley and it'll be 70 up there.
Yeah.
So crystal clear water though. It's pretty amazing how clean and clear it is. But beautiful. I mean, long range views. High. I think that's 5,500 feet.
It's probably in that
getting up there.
range. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's up there by Black Balsam.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
in that range somehow of that. So I have to say I'm partial to the national park, which there's tons of creeks. So there's not one. Deep Creek kind of is close and easy, and everybody knows about it. I mean, it's got waterfalls on it, but a lot of these have trails that run right beside them for 10 miles, 15 miles, 14 miles. So it's for the most part, if you start at the top and come in, it's easy hiking, and the fishing is usually pretty good if you hike in a couple miles. So, the scenery's hard to beat. Wildlife, I mean, we mentioned bear. You've got elk here. A lot of people don't realize North Carolina has elk. So you can come and see some elk. That's more of kind of a national park thing. Every now and then you see them in town or out by the highway or in
Seen
some
them
field.
in Bryson City a few times on floats.
So, and you hear somebody talking about them eating their flowers in their yard and stuff. So, you got elk, obviously some deer. Not that many deer, but enough. Some of y'all from the southeast will be like, man, y'all don't have any deer because you hardly see them. But they're around. I've actually seen a couple like swimming through the river, which is pretty cool.
Wow.
One of them was like 10 feet in front of me.
I
Just
was on a
swam.
guided trip on it. You were guiding?
Yeah, I was guiding on Deep Creek, and this thing just swam up the creek right in front of us. I got great pictures of it.
No way.
Like we weren't even there, just right by us. Nuts. So, yeah. What else? I mean, otters.
I was going to get on that.
You got to mention otters when you're talking about.
Do we want to get into that, though?
No, most fishermen aren't fans of otters, but they're here, and
they're
they
cute.
are cute. They are cute. What's some other like wildlife? Is there anything?
A lot of bald eagles.
Yeah, that's a good one. We
Yeah.
do.
Some
We
big
have some
birds.
resident bald eagles that you see.
Yeah, when you see them plowing through that McDonald's bag on the side of the 4 lane, that just really makes you feel that American spirit.
We've all done that too. Plowed through that McDonald's bag. There's nothing wrong with it. You're just trying to eat.
Can't blame them.
So, nothing wrong with it at all. So yeah, I mean, you got that. Obviously, we got some, hawks and things like that are cool too.
Bobcats every now and then.
Yeah, every now and then. Those are very rare encounters, but they're kind of a little bit more nocturnal where
Catamounts.
they do their hunting at night. There you go. Yeah, the college. So you got a few things to see there, wildlife wise, which is fun. Some coyotes and things like that too, or coyotes, depending on how you want to say it.
Yotes.
Yeah. So a few things there. Moving on to number 7, we've got not just trout. We have bass and other species. So, Dale, you want to expand on that a little bit?
Well, the diversity here of what you can chase in the spring. I think a few Aprils ago, I was guiding a fella full day. We encountered all 4 seasons in one day.
We might see that today.
Yeah. It we caught I think 7 different species on the Tuck. So between here and Fontana. So yeah, it's incredibly diverse between smallmouth, spotted bass certainly getting into the mix, largemouth, river largemouth are a lot of fun. Pound for pound, your bass are gonna fight a whole lot harder than trout, and more explosive certainly. So, just a lot of fun to get out there and bass fish. So, brim, you know, we
There's
blue,
nothing.
bluegill.
Brim are so fun, man.
They are.
They're just aggressive.
Yeah, they're overachievers.
Yeah,
You know, you think, oh, this might be a nice trout, and you get up there, it's a little bluegill. Oh, but they are the most beautiful fish I think actually we have in our low elevation rivers.
They are pretty, man.
That big orange belly and they've got a really pretty blue.
They do.
Streaks
It's like
on their
electric.
off the gill plate. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I don't know. It's just a lot of different fish, carp, you name it. We can do it.
What about the muskie?
You know, I really think.
I mean, you got the Muskie Mile over there, kind of in between Brevard and
Yeah,
That's right.
that's
Yeah,
right. And
Nashville,
that's productive. But you know, out this way, I don't like advertising that we've got muskie. I think it's kind of like Sasquatch. You've got people that say, "Oh, there's one over there as big as your leg," and where's the picture? Oh yeah, it's like, how are people still seeing Sasquatches but ain't got a picture? Everybody's got a smartphone. How you catch a 50-inch muskie and you ain't got no picture? Just saying.
maybe they caught it in 2003.
They don't want to tell anybody, show anybody where they're fishing. They don't know how to blur the background. Come on.
That might be it. There it is.
Yeah.
The blur of the background. So yeah, come fish some other species. You know, during the summer that smallmouth bite is usually good. So it's something to come check out. And you never know, man. You might pull up a walleye by accident,
Or a
thinking
steelhead.
or that sickle. Did you mention the sickle fin red horse?
Did not.
That's something
No.
that people, you know, that's kind of in this area.
Underrated.
Yeah,
Definitely.
it's a very similar looking fish to kind of a carp in a way, but different. And they get quite large.
It's a household name.
I mean, that one guy that you had on that one float, he caught like, that thing was like 26,
Oh, yeah.
27 inch sickle fin red
Yeah,
horse.
you think you got, oh man, it's gonna be a good brown.
It looks like a brown. Yeah, the flash. You're like, oh, that's a
And
brown.
it's fighting, it's taking you down the river, and I was super excited to see this fish come to the net, and the guy that landed, he was just kind of like, oh, what is that? It's
Yeah.
like, come on, man, this is a native fish.
Smoky
Like,
Mountain bonefish, man.
I'd say it's probably similar to how some of the Western guides feel about like whitefish.
yeah, I mean,
Like if you
it's-
never
it-
caught a
it looks like
whitefish,
one.
and all of a sudden you catch a 22-inch whitefish, you're like, man, that's a good fish, and they're like, it's a whitefish, throw it out. We're not getting a picture of that.
It's got fins.
Yeah,
It's got
exactly.
fins, boys.
Yeah. So, moving on to number 6. This one got any special name when you make a 6 on the golf course? You got any cool? Yeah, I didn't think so.
A bogey or double bogey, depending. Double par. I don't know.
This one I think is pretty huge because, you know, people kind of think of trout fishing. You know, obviously it's a cold water fish, so you always are thinking about it's going to be, you know, spring and fall because during the winter the water's froze up because it's in such a cold elevation in the mountains, things like that. But you know, we have year-round fishing here. We are very, very blessed that we're basically far enough south that we don't get frozen water and high enough in elevation during the summer that we still can go after trout. So it's kind of that sweet spot of being able to fish 12 months out of the year. Now, with that being said, you do have every now and then, it's every few years, we might have a couple weeks in January where things get super cold and the fish are going to be sluggish. I mean, it is what it is. You know, Mother Nature sometimes surprises us all. But overall, I mean, 12 months out of the year, I think we've all can say we've caught trout in every month of the year.
Yeah.
And not just like, oh, I caught a trout today, like multiple trout on a day in
Like-
January.
Crushed it.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, just totally like, man, this is some of the best fishing I've ever had. And part of that is it's not pressured, you know? Kind of after the holidays, people kind of settle in and like, oh, it's winter, it's time to tie flies. But, man, it's a great time. You know, you get one of those nice weekends, like come fish. It's actually incredible how good the fishing can be during the winter sometimes.
Really, I mean, this is one of my favorite times of the year to fish.
Yeah.
You don't see hardly anyone out there, so
Yeah, you basically have, you know, access to yourself, which is nice. So this podcast may make everybody come, and that's cool if they come in January. Moving on to number 5. This is where we should take a commercial break and like advertise everything, but we're going to keep on rolling. Number 5.
Rolling, roll. Put me down for a nickel, Bobby. A nickel.
I love it when Dale makes these comments. Jack looks at him like, "What the world are you talking about?"
He's like, what language is he
I
speaking?
still have no idea.
Like, what is that?
You missed your putt for par. Put me down for a nickel.
Oh, okay. I got you.
Still talking about golf.
I was thinking Walmart rollback, like rolling.
Oh, you're still on the rolling
Blue-
right along.
Blue
and-
light special.
So
Yeah, we were a couple steps ahead of you there.
on to the nickel here. We have a variety of fisheries, and what we mean by that. Actually, I'll let Jack explain. What do you mean by a variety of fisheries? To explain that to everyone.
Well, we kind of touched on it with the bass water. We've got good still water fishing. You know, you can go out on the lake and catch trout in some of these lakes. Bass certainly in the lakes. But really, small streams, large streams, everything in between. Streams that you could probably hop over, and you better believe there are trout living in there. So it's just so diverse. Really, we kid around. We tell people you could throw a dart at that map we've got here in the shop and probably hit a trout in the head. And we're probably not too far off on that, honestly, with how much water there really is here to fish and your options.
Yeah, I mean, you kind of have anything for everybody. Like if somebody wants to blue line, you've got blue line streams. You know, so you can go up high in elevation, hit a blue line, kind of bushwhack a little bit, things like that. If you're looking for more of that kind of intermediate size, 20, 30, 40 foot wide, there's tons of that. Tons and tons and miles of that. But then we also have the tail races. You got the Nantahala, Tuckasegee, Little Tennessee. Little Tennessee's kind of a half tail race. The dam isn't like a big. It's more like a weir. But, it's a smallmouth fishery too. But you've got those larger rivers. So if you want to go out there and lay out a 50-foot cast, you can without having to worry about getting hung up in the vegetation. So I think that's where that variety too comes in.
I think that really helps with the year-round fishing. I wouldn't just pick one stream and say, hey, you can fish it year-round. You think of a tiny creek way up there at 3,500, 4,000 feet in elevation. It's not really going to be a year-round fishery, but, go there when it warms up, boom.
That's
you're gonna
it.
start
During the
catching fish.
summertime, that's where you go hit it.
That's
you
right.
you don't hit the Valley River. You go up there.
There's always something to fish.
And then during the winter, you kind of stick in lower elevation. So that's the beauty of it. Is we have that variety where you've kind of got something all the time. And even like the weather we've had the last couple of weeks where we've had a lot of rain, those higher elevation streams flush a little faster. So, we might get 2-3 inches of rain, and by the next morning, you can go fishing in a high elevation stream. It's already flushed all the water out, So just gives you a good variety. Number 4, public access. We'll let Dale touch on that one a little bit.
That's par. That's the thing. North Carolina public mountain trout water is all geared around access, especially delayed harvest. A lot of your hatchery supported streams are right beside roads, so obviously that means they're going to get fished a lot. But you can really do some studying on a North Carolina Delorme atlas and get off the beaten path. Go up, find some national forest roads, and just go, and you'll run into a creek. And what is it? How many acres is Nantahala National Forest? I mean, it's.
I don't even know off the top of my head.
I mean, but there's thousands of miles of trout stream just there, and then you go into the Great Smoky Mountain National Park, and there's a couple thousand miles of trout water there too. So, yeah, it's unbelievable the amount of public access we have. It's actually a harder time finding stretches of private water than it is public. So, it's pretty impressive.
We're really blessed with that.
Here we go. Nantahala National Forest coming in at over 38,000 acres.
There you go. That's a lot.
If you were wondering.
That's a lot. So, you've got all that, man, the access. And I think that's the beauty of it is there's a little bit of if somebody wants to hike 10 miles and fish, it's publicly accessible. If you want to get out of your car and fish, it's publicly accessible. If you have mobility issues, it's publicly accessible.
If you want to get off the grid, you can still do that.
Yeah, that's what's
No
really
cell
sweet
phone
about
service.
it. Yeah, it's a little bit of everything for everybody.
If you want to get lost, you can do that too.
That's right.
There's people that'll come find you.
Don't do that. Don't get lost. Don't get off trail.
Don't take trails you don't know where they come out at, Bobby.
Exactly. Don't get off trail and bushwhack through grizzly country in West Yellowstone.
And not in your Sims current shoes.
I was in my Olakais yesterday.
Oh, okay.
Oh my God.
Even better.
Number 3. This is par on Par 3. Look at that.
Or a birdie.
Or a birdie. Or a birdie. Dale likes to think half glass
Could be an
full.
eagle.
It could be an eagle, yeah.
Yeah, half glass full. So we kind of have touched on this several times through it, but it's kind of, we need to mention it straight up. The national park, I mean, to have that at your back door as a fishery anywhere in the country, if you got a national park where there's fishing associated with it, I think that's pretty special. So,
Well, and kudos to the park biologists that have done so much to restore what these waters were before, 100 years ago when we screwed them up with logging.
yeah, if y'all have never seen some of the pictures of that, if you Google it, you'll probably, I mean, they basically, it was just dirt. Like, it was dirt and stumps. They cut everything out.
Deep Creek was dammed up.
Yeah.
There's a lake on Deep Creek.
It's crazy how they just clear cut it. Nothing left. Not select forestry or anything like that. So you had a lot of erosion problems and sediment and silt and things that pretty much, probably annihilated most things in those streams,
So you can now fish for brook trout and harvest brook trout anywhere in the national park. And I think that had been closed for about 30 years until a couple years ago when they opened harvest up to anybody.
Yeah, so it's
Anywhere.
also got how many miles? I think you touched on this.
I
Fishing
think it's
water.
right around 1,900 miles of fishing water, but there's like 2,800 miles of streams. But some of those streams are just like trickles that you can walk over, and they're just maybe they're small enough to hold aquatic insects, but they're too small to hold trout.
Yeah. And then there's 900 miles of trails to hike.
Mm-hmm.
So if you want to do a little hiking or a lot of hiking and a little fishing, there it is,
Does anyone want to take a guess at the acreage for the park?
Oh, I used to know this.
74,000
No, it's like 310.
acres.
You're both way off by like 100,000. We're at 218,000.
Oh, I was close.
It's-
But by 100,000.
Huh.
Yeah. And like 52% of it's in North Carolina, 48 or something like that. That's in
Something like
Tennessee. Yeah. It splits the state line. So, a lot of activities in there, to go hike and everything. I mean, it's a beautiful national park. It's the most visited national park. But I think with that said, we know that most people don't get that far from their car. A lot of people are just kind of passing through or looking at the overlooks or going to a campground, a picnic area. They're not really hiking in and fishing. So that's the beauty of it. It's still kind of remote.
12.5 million visitors.
Is that what it was last year?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we were just so lucky. It's really in our backyard. A 5-minute drive from the shop here in Bryson.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. And I mean, it's
Or
located.
120 seconds, or count to 120 from JJ's Tubes.
If you've ever driven up Deep Creek, you know that sign. That's fine.
Count to 120.
So yeah, I mean, it's a cool national park. It's fun. There's a ton of history in it. I don't think a lot of people realize like people used to actually live there. Everybody thinks national park. I think Grand Canyon or like Yellowstone comes to mind, but I mean,
Uninhabitable kind of places.
the national park. I mean, there's still home sites in there. You still see daffodils, boxwoods that were around foundations.
You see foundations.
You see foundations,
Chimneys.
Our buddy Bob the other day found a bunch of like metal pieces. One of it was like a belt buckle. I mean, like a lot of stuff in the park from where people used to live there. So it's kind of
Eventually, The Walking Dead may be filmed there, like Walking Dead after 60 years.
yeah. So moving on to number 2, only 2 more to go here. We kind of mentioned this, a lot of water, and we mentioned the national park, the mileage, but between just Jackson and Swain County, which is kind of, we fish outside of those 2 counties, but that's kind of our home waters, I guess you'd say. We fish up in Haywood County and Macon County and stuff too. But those 2 are kind of the ones that our shops are in. Jackson County has the Silva shop. Swain County has the Bryson City shop. But in those 2 counties, it's about 4,000 miles, a little over, maybe 4,500, something like that. Just in 2 counties alone
Of public access.
of public accessible water. So that's and that's due to that national forest and the national park. I mean, that's a huge reason to come here.
Well, and NC Wildlife also, I think it's is it 19 or 21 delayed harvest? I can't remember.
Last podcast you said 19.
That's right. I think it's 19.
So I'm going with 19.
If you scored that in golf, you need to just hang it up. Like look for a best
That's my
ball.
high score. How do you know?
Yeah. So that's I mean, going closer, just north of Statesville, you've got some delayed harvest all the way west to out here, all the way to Snowbird, and then I think the numbers I've heard is that they stock around 1 million fish between hatchery supported and delayed harvest waters across North Carolina of trout. Excuse me, not fish, but trout. So North Carolina wildlife is really, pumping in a lot of fish to some of these places that might not otherwise hold good numbers of fish, but with their help, they are. Because, the Tuckasegee would not be – that's not a trout river.
No, it wouldn't be.
That's a smallmouth river.
Yeah.
And it turns into a trout river in the winter, fall and spring when NC Wildlife stocks
when they're
it.
stocking it. So, yeah, it's one of those things. You can come catch stock trout. You can come catch wild trout. Streamborn. So, and we have all three species, browns, rainbows, and brook. So it's fun to fish. So that brings us to number one. Anybody want to do a drum roll?
One.
Drum roll.
Drum roll.
We just say drum roll. This one's kind of funny. It's not as big as everybody thinks, but we think it might be big. Jack, tell them what it is.
Ooh, I don't know. Dale, take it away.
Oh, well, this crazy thing happened back in 2014. These two guys opened a shop in Bryson City named Tuckasegee Fly Shop. And that's number one reason to come to Western North Carolina to fly fish.
Just to come say hey to us.
Yeah.
Because we like seeing everybody.
That beard, Bobby. The way that beard oil just conditions
Bearded
it.
wonder. Here it is.
What's your secret?
Beard oil.
Yeah?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. A little bit of olive oil every now and then.
Is the olive oil dropping off a fork?
Yeah.
That's it. Plenty of Bojangles. It keeps it.
I think that's
keeps it
Crisco.
fresh. Keeps it fresh. So, no, number one, man, we love seeing everybody. So, we want you to come by and say hey. Whether you come in and actually purchase something doesn't matter. Just coming in and telling us that hey, I went up and heard your podcast and went and fished a certain creek that you mentioned or whatever and caught a couple fish. Man, that's awesome. So that was one of the reasons we opened the shop, was to kind of help grow the sport and get people into it and see the excitement of people catching fish or trout for the first time on a fly rod. So it's really cool to kind of be a part of that with you, even though we're not necessarily right there with you all the time. So we really appreciate it. Anything else?
I think that's it.
Any bonuses?
That's why I would come to Western North Carolina.
Any bonus things? Yeah.
You got Haywood Barbecue.
Oh,
Yeah.
That's a good one.
We did mention food. We could throw out some because we did mention breweries. We could throw out the names of the restaurants for folks that we kind of Dale, your top three maybe.
Oh, we got well, I guess it depends.
Putting them on the spot.
All right, Frankie's, Maggie Valley.
Frankie's,
Really
that's
good,
Italian.
Really
yeah.
good Italian. Pascalino's, again, really good Italian in Bryson City. So they're kind of closely tied there. Haywood Smokehouse over in Dillsboro. Gosh, food. Yeah, I think I really like Bogart's over in Silva. So
shout out to Bogart's.
Yeah, you can get anything there. They've got brisket. They smoke their own brisket and turkey, and they smoke anything.
I figured you'd throw out the sweet onion. I'm surprised you didn't throw that out.
The sweet onion over in Waynes. You said top three. Like that's tough. The sweet onion in Waynesville is good. I found a new one the other night on date night. Stacy and I, Watami.
That's a good one.
Oh, what?
Watami and
What is
Watami. That's what I call it. Watami and Watami.
What flair food is that?
It is Thai, Asian, Thai, Japanese, and Chinese all in one restaurant.
That's the reason it's called whatchamacallit.
Yeah, that's
Melting pot.
That's right. It was fantastic. Fantastic sushi. Just beautiful plates. So
Now, Dale, did you eat the sushi? I have to ask.
I did.
Did you?
Yeah.
Even for a vegan?
Stacy, I had the avocado roll.
Oh, okay. Well, there wasn't any fish in it, though.
I've had it before, though.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm just testing you.
What about you, Jack? You got 3 to 5
I'm thinking
kind of
about
favorites?
sushi now. I'd have to go with Sakura down there in Franklin. That one's a good one for sushi or Asian flair. Another one would be, I think Dale said it, Haywood Smokehouse, voted the best barbecue in the state of North Carolina.
Texas style.
I was going to.
You got to throw it in there, Texas style.
Growing up in Davidson County, you take offense to that, man.
I'm gonna piggyback Dale again and say Bogart's. I'm a little partial. My wife works there, but it is great food. So
if you want Italian, you can get Italian. If you want a burger, you get a burger.
that's true. A little bit of everything.
If you want a plant-based diet, you can do that.
Vegetarian options. That's right.
There you go.
Yeah. What about you, Bobby? I know
I don't eat much.
Zaxby's.
I don't eat too often.
Bojangles.
I do like Zaxby's.
You
man.
eat a lot, Bobby. You can't
That-
say I don't eat too
Crystal.
often.
That Caribbean jerk, man, sauce is good at Zaxby's. It is, but
He said I don't eat that often.
I don't need that.
You come
often.
in the shop with 2 sweet teas every morning, Bobby.
I
2 jumbo, like the huge.
I've only had pistachios today, so just saying.
Is it a
no,
fasting day?
I did have some Bojangles this morning.
There it is.
So, man, for restaurants, I think when we're kind of naming these, we've all kind of pushed dinner options. It sounds like. I have to say, I'm going to throw out a lunch option. I do like the sandwiches at the high test filling station here in
Ooh,
Bryson City
I
for a
missed that
lunch
one.
option. So I
Quality.
do, yeah, that's a good one. Man, I eat at a lot of places. So it's like
There
narrowing
it
it
is.
down. Narrowing it down.
It is. It's tough.
It is.
What about your
I'm going to go a little further away. It's a new favorite. For years, people have said, you need to go try this. You need to go try it. And finally this year, or I guess it was this past fall, 2019, was the first time I tried it. And it's Rocky's.
Rocky's.
I knew you were
Hot
gonna-
chicken in Asheville.
I mean, yeah. If we're gonna go that far east,
Yeah. Oh, now it opens up. We need top
Oh,
10.
boy.
We need top 10.
I'm going to throw out
I
Sierra
think,
Nevada.
I think it's a whole nother episode, boys.
Yeah. But Rocky's is definitely right there, at least right now. And this will probably change next week, my favorites. But, man, if you've never had that, and it's, that Nashville-style hot chicken, but the sides are incredible, like what you get with them. So I'd definitely go with that. And then for maybe a third one, I have to agree with Dale. I'm probably my favorite style of food, or ethnic. I don't know if you call it ethnicity, however you say that. If I can get that out, I'm a Southern boy. Is Italian, so I have to go with Frankie's. I really like Frankie's a lot, and Ferraro's in Waynesville. I like the Ferraro's in Waynesville. They've got some good dishes too. But Frankie's is pretty good over there in Maggie Valley. So a lot of those options kind of, you have to drive a little bit. If you're staying in Silva, you may have to drive to Franklin or Bryson City. But at the end of the day, man, it's worth it. You get to see some different roads that maybe you weren't driving. It's fun to go experience it. If you're here and you're here for a whole week, maybe you kind of take one day of a break from fishing and run up to Asheville and go to Rockies or Sierra Nevada or a place up there. There's tons of Asheville's a foodie city, so that's kind of the top 10 reasons to fish Western North Carolina. And we concentrated on my favorite food.
Yeah, just
So-
forget the fishing rod. Just come and eat here.
Just come and eat. It's good.
A lot of good places.
That's
you can't,
it.
You can't stay in business around here and be bad.
So we appreciate everybody listening. Again, go like, subscribe, mash those buttons for Facebook, Instagram, YouTube. By the way, we haven't mentioned you're now putting it on YouTube. I don't think we've mentioned that on the
you can
podcast.
get the podcast on YouTube now.
Yeah, so we're kind of starting to post them up on YouTube. So if that's an easier platform for you to use for some reason, go start, subscribe, like, follow, hit that notification bell, all that good stuff, so you can see when we put it up. So if that helps you out. And look forward to seeing you in the shop or on the water.
Tight lines.
Tight line.